We on here. We on here. We on here. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Let's see what we got here, man. Oh, all right, all right. Ooh, busy, busy, busy. Busy as a bee. Busy as a bee. Thanks for being here, everybody. Mucho gracias, as we say in Espanol. Right on. Appreciate y'all being here on both my channels so I can get that sweet, sweet YouTube revenue. Because you know it's all about the YouTube revenue. It's all about the money for me. Hey, what's up, Tina? Que paso? All right, cool. So it looks like we're good here. All right, so let's who's this guy? All right, so all right. So let's I'll play those ads. All right, there we go. All right, cool. Bill, Jake, that guy, 6-pack. All right, so we're gonna start. I'm just going. So give me about Massachusetts, right on. I'm gonna go through some questions I have here, and then it'll take about 45 minutes. Go through some email questions come in, and yes, right, Vinyl. If you're gonna work, you need to make the scratch. That's for sure. Got to pay those taxes. All right. Oh, if I say stand and fight, does that mean I'm supporting insurrection? Because they say now, because Trump said we got to fight, that means he's supporting insurrection. So if I say stand and fight, does that mean if I have this flag right here, does that mean I'm supporting insurrection? It's all smoke and mirrors, bread and circuses. That's a fact. And they can all kiss my big fat behind. All right. So let's see what we got. Kennesaw, right on. Johnny, all right. We got Wista, right on. Wrong. Andrew, I'm old, don't know how to change my name, right on. Michigan. We got some South Dakota Starbucks cup, and we got a cup of hot tea, and we are 556, baby. That's insurrectionist, Kenny. That's insurrectionist. Yeah, sit down and fight. Right on. Sit down and fight. All right, so let's see. This is my man Sean, who writes in, I enjoyed your spotlight on the best places to retire series. Oh, speaking of which, I found my man Don Serber from Don Serber's blogspot.com. He's out in West Virginia. He had linked an article. Hey, Ricky, Betsy, right on. He had linked an article from Yahoo, which I was going to do a video on, but I just can't. It's too funny. The top 2 places to retire, according to Yahoo, was Iowa and West Virginia. Iowa and West Virginia. Number 7 was Connecticut. I said, is this like, are we being pranked here? I've never heard Iowa, West Virginia, and Connecticut in any top 10 places to retire. For top 10 places, best states to retire. I've never heard that. So I was like, what? Just funny, man. Anyway. All right, so what I'm referring to is homeowners insurance and other property insurance. I'm renewing my policy this year. I want to find out if I'm over under insuring my property. What is the best strategy to take when buying policies for your retirement home, especially if you own them mortgage free? Questions like, will the home values and deductibles they quote really cover the cost of rebuilding after a total loss? Well, that's why you want to make sure it's replacement costs. So you always, on your homeowners insurance, you always got to you always want to talk about replacement costs, never fair market value. So my man Sean says, hey, I want to make sure I'm not getting smoked. It's got to be replacement cost. And that's the thing, we can save you 15 minutes, $15 or whatever. If you save 15 minutes, I mean, any insurance company can save you money just like that by making sure you're underinsured. We don't want that. We want replacement costs on your homeowner's insurance. Will I be able to insure the loss of my biggest retirement asset without adding extraordinary yearly cost of premiums? Those costs will be in the thousands of dollars. He's talking about homeowners insurance. I mean, it depends on where you live, brother. I mean, if you live near water, it's going to be tough, man. I mean, it's just a fact. Flood insurance. Should I get it even though I'm technically not in the flood zone? Yeah, I got flood insurance. Flood insurance is cheap insurance. Look, the flood insurance issue is going bankrupt anyway. There's not enough money. Look, if it comes from the government, it's all going bankrupt. It's all there is to it. FDIC, PBGC, flood insurance, all this stuff is going bankrupt. There's no money for any of this, which means that they're just going to have to. And remind me, too, I got to read you this. Where did I see this article? No, I got to read you this article about the concerns that are coming out here. which the concern was very, very interesting about inflation relative to consumer sentiment. It's I saw this today. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I'll share that with you here in a little bit. So let me write that down. I want to make sure I know I forget. All right, zero hedge. It's on zero hedge, consumer sentiment. All right. So I don't know why I wouldn't get flood insurance, frankly. Why not? I mean, I think I pay $400 a year for it. And I'm certainly not in a flood zone. But I mean, look, I'm a conservative guy, man. You know what I'm saying? So I usually have probably more insurance than I need. It's just the nature of the beast. But what's that? Yeah, I heard Harry. Harry's freezing. And yeah, flood insurance is incredibly expensive on oceanfront. Right on. I heard it's freezing in Oklahoma. It's not freezing here. Not here. Here's 43 degrees. Scott says Iowa, 10 below zero temp doesn't make me want to stay here. Well, I looked at Bernie, Texas, where I used to live, and Bernie, Texas was going to get as high. Right now it's 28 in Bernie, Texas. The high on Monday is going to be 21 degrees. 21 degrees with a low of 1. That's in South Texas. That's just 10 minutes north of San Antonio. They got snow yesterday. They're going to get snow on Sunday and snow on Wednesday. I mean, that's freaking nuts, man. The polar vortex, the global. I mean, literally, the greenies will say global warming is causing global cooling. This is how insane these people are. It's nuts, man. It's nuts. The polar vortex. I just look at these. Somehow the Southeast got avoided a lot of this. Yeah, Rapid City -6. -6 in Rapid City. Tomorrow, the high in Rapid City will be -2. Blue Ridge up there is 43 degrees in Blue Ridge. You know, Blue Ridge, Georgia. You know that's Virginia snow. Yeah, look at that. Jeez Louise, that's cold. But anyway, the Southeast seemed to avoid it at this time. So cheers to polar vortex. As a financial planner, I wonder if you counsel clients. Okay, so the guy says if I counsel clients on those retirement issues as well. I do actually. We have a little bit. I mean, I'm not licensed in property and casualty. I'm not licensed in homeowners insurance, which falls under property and casualty, P&C. I'm not licensed in those aspects, Sean. But we always want to make sure you have replacement coverage on your car. On your car, on your home. We always want to make sure you have 100,000 property damage liability coverage on your auto, 200 or 300. It's usually 250 or 300,000 bodily injury per person on your auto, and 500 per accident. And I just look at 1, 3, and 5 for simplicity. 100,000 property damage limits, 300,000, 250, 300,000. Bodily injury per person, and 500,000 per accident. And then you want to have replacement costs for your home. I think I have like a 1% deductible. I think it's what my deductible is on this house right here. I think it's what it was, 1% or something like that. And again, I'm probably way overinsured, but frankly, one time we needed it. We had a little bit of a leak on our hardwoods over there. Just it was a little bit warped, and they took the whole freaking thing out, man. It's nuts. And I'm sure the guys who did the work, overbilled for sure. But at the end of the day, I mean, USA paid for us to stay in a hotel for 3 days and put brand spanking new hardwoods and everything. It was nuts. Just was like a little, freaking 1 by 1 square foot warp in the hardwoods is crazy. Oof, look at that. -10 in Iowa, and he's a firefighter. All I gotta say is a burr, man. That is straight up cold. All right, umbrella. So too, just on top of this, Sean didn't ask about umbrella. Remember, this is an area that's the rule of thumb for financial planners is you want to have an umbrella coverage to the extent of your net worth. Just keep that in mind. Umbrella to the extent of your net worth. However, this is it's on thin ice there. And the reason being because they can't get your pension, they can't get your retirement accounts, and they can't get your primary residence if you're to be sued. All right. So and this is every state's different. I'm not a lawyer. Financial planning 101 rule of thumb is you want an umbrella policy to the extent of your net worth. But if your net worth is primarily in your primary residence and then your IRA account, do you really need that? I don't know. It's tough. But like my man Jake here, Jake the Snake, he says it's only $600 for $1 million umbrella. I did talk to a guy a couple of weeks ago, last week, I can't remember, but not too long ago. He said his umbrella actually opened him up for a lawsuit because they went after the insurance company essentially. And I thought that was actually kind of interesting. I hadn't thought about it like that, but they're not going to sue you if you don't got a pot to pee in. But if you have an insurance company that's backing you, in theory, they'll sue you. So I don't know. That's a challenge. But at the end of the day, I don't really care too much about the insurance company. I care about old Josh. And so as such, for $600 for $1 million umbrella, or Jill's got, I saw her right here, $2 million umbrella for $454. That's probably cheap money, to be honest with you. Remember that they won't. Your insurance company, if you have a legit insurance company, they're not going to give you an umbrella unless your auto policies are up to where I just said 1, 3, and 5. You can't have bare bones coverage and then have an umbrella on top of it. It doesn't work like that. So they'll say, no, you got to raise your liability limits on your auto before we give you an umbrella. Just keep that in mind. All right. Chuck says his umbrella started out fairly cheap, but has been going up a lot lately. Sounds like you're a high risk guy, Chuck. You might want to get to a new line of work, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, right on. All right, real quick. Yeah, I can tell. I see here. That's good, man. I tell you, if you're watching Curiosity Inc., they're negative 40 Celsius up there. I don't even know where Curiosity Inc. is. Harry, so let me real quick. Harry's saying he's become very knowledgeable in the 72T rules on the separately equal periodic payments and things. I tell you guys, this is a skill set. If if you're interested in becoming like a financial advisor of some part, to focus on one area and just know that better than most people is the way to do it. Stock options, for instance, that was always I don't want to say easy one. That's always a one that you can make hay with, because very few financial advisors want to take the time to know stock options. I'm telling you, because they're complex and each case is unique, which makes it kind of fun. And I was pretty knowledgeable in stock options for a while, and I don't want to do that. It was an interesting dynamic. I just remember I used to know those pretty good, actually, ISOs, RSUs, and things of that nature. And then I don't do it anymore very often, so I'm not that knowledgeable. But man, so here's 72T. Well, Harry probably knows there's more than 98% of the population out there, to include financial advisors, because he's taken just a couple days to learn it. I cannot stress this enough. Just take a couple days to learn, 72T. ESOPs, employee stock ownership programs. Like we talked with Amar, NUA, net unrealized appreciation. Just as one area, man, you could easily become the expert in that one area. So I was telling Amar, because I'm trying to help him, grow his YouTube channel and ultimately build his business, is, man, you got to find your niche that you enjoy and just focus like a crazy man on that. Be smarter than, it doesn't take much to be smarter in that one aspect than most people. Like my man Chris Barfield over at Barfield Financial. No one's going to know more about TSP than Chris Barfield. When I say no one, there are some people who know a little bit or just as much, but very, very, very few people are going to know more than Chris Barfield at Barfield Financial when it comes to TSP stuff. So if TSP is important to you, are you going to go with some generalist who knows a little bit about all these things, or are you going to go straight to the horse's mouth and Chris Barfield, or what's her name down in Florida? I want to say Donna Flanagan, but it's an Irish name. I forgot her first name. I interviewed her. It's a great lady too, out of Tampa. I forgot her name. Flanagan. I guess Missy Flanagan. I don't think that was it. Anyway, you would if you have anything on federal employee benefits, health benefits, you talk to Missy Flanagan out in Florida, if that makes sense. So if you're interested in becoming in this field and offering advice, don't focus on everything. Focus on the thing that gets you fired up, and just a little bit of reading, a little bit of research will set you apart. Like provisional income. It's funny how many people are starting. I was reading an article today. I was like, it seems like my work, and I will take credit for it because I don't think many people talked about it before I started to do that. But I was building off what a life insurance salesman told one of my clients about. And so, so sure, I said, no one's focused on provisional income. No one is. And the Medicare, what I call the widow's tax trap. I'm going to focus on that. And that's going to be my specialty, which I enjoy immensely, A, and B, no one else talks about it. So it's an easy path to separate myself, as opposed to being I can manage your investments. Who gives a rat's butt, man? Anyone could do that. Hell, a robot, literally a robot can do that. Probably better than a human being too. So Harry's being an expert on 72 Ts. Oh man, if you want to get involved in this, however you want to do it, whatever it is, man. No Roth IRA is like the back of your hand. No auto insurance like auto insurance is a little bit different because you got to be licensed for that specific thing. But I don't know anything. Just know something, and you'll know more about the 98% of the people. That way, if someone says, "Look," you can say, "Look, I don't know all that much about index universal life insurance." You know what I'm saying? I mean, I do to some regard. I know enough that I don't like it, but at the end of the day, there are people who know more than me. And if we got in a debate with them, they'd probably smoke me because I don't know that. I mean, I don't know it the way some of these guys do. But if you say, look, I think there's a product here. I want to know more about this than anyone, so I can offer that and tell people the good and bad and ugly about it. I tell you, I think it's something to think about. All right, let's see. My man Lon, he said. So he's got the 3 accounts. By the way, I got a new whiteboard, which we'll start using here. There, I got my new whiteboard. I'm going to start using it here pretty soon. As a matter of fact, I just set that up yesterday. It's one of those you can turn over and raise. It's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to using that. So we won't go down the basement anymore because we put our treadmill thing down there. And so the basement is our gym, solely our gym now, to my wife's relief, because I had all my crap. So here's my whiteboard, which we'll start using once. I'm waiting for my lavalier thing so I can connect it to the computer and start doing whiteboard stuff. I actually miss doing the whiteboard. All right, so because for a perfect example, a question like this. Lon says, traditional IRA, Roth IRA, taxable accounts, how should my mutual funds and ETFs be set up to limit tax exposure? He's 60. He just moved from Ameriprise to Vanguard, but he wants to limit taxes through proper asset location. That's easy, man. Your bonds should be in your IRA. ETFs should be in your taxable accounts. Stock ETFs, I should say. Stock ETFs in your taxable accounts. Your bonds, if you have any, in your IRA, and your more higher dividend stocks and things like that should be in your Roth. That's the way it should be. So any income producing stocks should be in Roth. Any ETFs, VTI should be in your taxable, and any kind of bond should be in your IRA without question. All right. All right. So here's Lynn. He talked about my video on homeowners insurance. Let's see. I too recently decided watching my homeowners insurance cost after filing 2 claims for hail damage. My fear was that the insurance company would cancel my policy. This has not happened. I've also reviewed my coverage for home replacement coverage, added a rider several years ago for sewer backup. There's a good one. I have seen that because he's seen that happen. So he's seen his sewer backup. Yeah, right on, man. With kids driving cars, I also had an umbrella for $1 million. It is a good value to cover lawsuits from car accidents. Yeah. I found out after a vehicle accident in my immediate family in 1998, the basic required no-fault insurance requirements are wholly inadequate if someone has something like a helicopter flight to a hospital. Okay, that eats up all the minimum required coverage. Okay, so basically if you hurt somebody in a car crash and they got to get medevaced out by a helicopter, that will eat up all your liability coverage on your auto insurance. So he has an umbrella. Gotcha. Now, the insurance company is happy to write you a check for the minimum required coverage the other driver had by state law, but it's not even close to covering everyone. Okay. Let's see. His started out about $235 a year in 1992. And now it's at $2,000 a year now. So he's just showing me the cost of his homeowners insurance. He went from basically $300 a year in 1992 to now 2020, $2,000 a year. He's had 2 hail claims, and it looks like after the first hail claim, his coverage went up by 20% from $1,000 a year to $1,272. And then he got replacement cost coverage in 2018, which only increases premium by, it looks like $80 a year. All right, so that's good. So basically, his cost for homeowners insurance in this regard, he's got is about $2,000 a year. So it's gone from 200 to 2,000 over the course of, that's freaking about 30 years. So we take our trusty calculator and we say Oh, it's actually 300. And we say, what's that, 27 years? And it's now 2,000. That's grown at, about 7.2% a year of premium increase, which would make sense because the house value has probably gone up by, 3-4% a year or something like that. Actually, I don't know. He doesn't say. Actually, does he say? I don't think he does say. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so here it goes. So basically, well, his house is now valued at 214. 2019 is valued at 214. And in 2018 it was valued at 191. So I'm not sure what his house was valued at in 1993. So I don't know what the increase of his house is, but that seems like his auto insurance, his homeowner's insurance is going up at a pretty extensive clip there. But with that said, it also includes actually, was that 27 years? Yeah, 20. So about 7.2%. So it's basically doubling every 10 years essentially. But he's also added a couple things too. He's had a couple claims. He's increased his coverage as well. All right, and his homeowner's property taxes have only doubled. Actually, that's interesting. So his property taxes went from 1,000 in 1993 to 2,000 in 2019. So his homeowners has only doubled, but his homeowners property taxes have doubled, but his homeowners insurance has gone up from basically 300 to 2,000. So that's pretty interesting, actually. Those insurance companies are a money print machine. That's why they advertise so much. Then he says, notice I had not updated property taxes for 2020, and then he gives us the change. Now, now his property taxes are $2,400. So basically, a little bit about not a little bit more than doubling in 25 years. So it's good to know, man. Good stuff. Point being is that there is increases in these things as well. FYI, just keep that in mind as a cost of living. I'm inflating all that in my software at 2% a year, by the way. All right, let's see what we got here. Do you have any videos on using financial advisors to manage your portfolio? I'm currently paying some guy 80 basis points. That's 0.8%, and I'm not sure it's worth it. I don't know if I have any videos where I could point this guy to off the top of my head, but I mean, why'd you hire him to begin with? So you went in to hire this guy for a reason. What is going on that make you question that? I don't know, and that's that would be the challenge to me. So you bought into his services for a reason. Has that changed? And if the issue is that you don't think he's doing as what the market's doing. What were your expectations going in? And I mean, were those expectations you're putting on him, or did he put on himself? And I was talking to a guy today who hired a guy for a hedge fund, literally. And he's like, I don't know if I should do it. And I said, well, hedge funds really make their money when the market's going down. I mean, so he didn't do that great last year. In fact, I can't remember, but he didn't do that well. I said, yeah, but the point about hedge funds is to give you the hedge against a declining market in theory. So I said, whatever. But if you want, give him another year and see how he shakes out if we do have a market decline. So, I'm not a fan of paying financial advisory fees. I'm just not. I frankly don't think it's worth it. But, is it worth it for some people? Absolutely. 100%. Some people it's absolutely worth it. Is it worth it for this guy? It doesn't sound like he feels like it. So, just go to Vanguard, buy the index and be done with it. But, some people it's okay. You're not an idiot if you hire a guy. I don't have any problem with that at all. As long as you feel like you're getting the right service for it. All right. We got Ed. Ed writes in. He says, big fan first time. Read all your books. Right on. I took my course. All right. Sweet. So Ed has paid me lots of money because he's taken my course, using the right capital. He's read all my books. So good job, Ed. That money, I use that to light my cigars with. So I appreciate that. He's retiring in a year. Right on. My plan is to put about half my 401k into an annuity and the other into Vanguard ETFs. By learning about dividend investing and wondering if that's better than an annuity, since I will still own the capital. Haven't you seen you dividend investing much? All right, so an annuity, he's looking at $350,000 in an annuity. All right, so that $350,000 in an annuity would probably generate him about 5% a year. So that generated about $17,500 a year. Now that's principal, all right, and interest. And it's So how long is it going to take to make that money back? So 17,500 a year divided by 300, it was 350,000 divided by 17,500 a year. It's going to, 350,000 divided by 17,500. It's going to take him 20 years before he's making any interest, if that makes sense. So I can't remember how old he was. I think 62. So he's going to be in his mid 80s before he's actually making money on the annuity. That's just why I'm not a big fan of annuities, because it's going to take a long time for you to make that money back. All right. So on the other hand, but that is 17,500. If he was to buy, we'll just use SP 500. It's paying about 2.25, 350 times 0.5%. He's only going to get $8,700. So he's going to get about half of what he's getting on the annuity. So what does that mean? Well, if he wants the same level of income, the annuity, he'd have to dip into his principal. I don't care. Whoop-de-doo. I don't, this whole thing where we're just going to live off the dividends. I've never understood that, man. I mean, just go ahead and, live off some of the principal too. I don't get it. So at the end of the day, you're living off you have a growing dividend. Hopefully you have a growing dividend, right? So the dividends are increasing each and every year, most likely. If a good old fashioned, dividend growth fund or just a good old fashioned S&P 500, you have an increasing dividends each and every year. In 20 years, you'll get most likely you're going to get well more on dividends alone than you would get on the annuity. Plus you have some principal. In theory, we don't know. I mean, that's the drawback, is we literally don't know. You might lose all your money. I mean, if you look at the S&P 500 starting in 2000, I think it might have it up here. Let me see if I think I have it. Shoot. Let's see. Yeah. All right. So I want to show you guys something. So I'm looking. Oops. What did I do? All right. So I'm looking at Portfolio Visualizer. And we go to this. There we go. All right, so I want to go to S&P 500. Can y'all see that? Yeah. All right. Cool. And we're gonna go to we're gonna go right here, right there. All right. So we're gonna take 100,000 in the S&P 500, and we're gonna live off $5,500 a year, because that was 5.5%. No, 5. What did I say? 5%. Yeah, 5%. 5,000 a year. This is just the S&P 500. All right. So we're going to we're going to adjust it for inflation. Let's get rid of this guy. BFINX. All right. So what's happening here? So the annuity, we're getting essentially a 5% payout ratio. So $100,000 is going to pay us 5,000. All right. On the S&P 500, we're not getting 5%. We're only getting about 2.5% on the dividend, maybe 2.25%. But we need 5,000, if that makes sense. That means we're going to have to dive into some principal. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this from 2000 to 2009 and see how this shakes out. And I don't think it's not going to be very pretty. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to go down to Portfolio Visualizer, and we're going to see, this is the S&P 500, the blue. We started with $100,000 and we're ending now at $29,000. Now this is Wellington up here. Look at Wellington. This is Wellington. This is S&P 500. You're doomed, man. You're doomed. Your days are over here with the S&P 500. So if you looked at the annuity, while the annuity isn't keeping up with inflation and it's not a great account, the annuity is still paying you that 17,000 or that 5,000 a year each and every year. It's not growing or anything, but your S&P 500 is doomed. You're dead. You're dead to rights. No other way around that. And that's the thing I think a lot of people forget about dividend investing, because the dividends are so low that you have to tap into principal for sure. Now, this will be gone. What, in 2013? I think it was. I think it was 2013 where the S&P 500 ultimately was exhausted, if memory serves. Hold on just a second. Let's see. Yeah. So basically, right there, 2014, essentially, you didn't recover from this. You're done. You're done. You're dead. It's over. Good times had by all. So at least the annuity was guaranteed and still paying you. Part two of the annuity, I think a lot of people overlook, is there is something called mortality credits. And if you do survive, those 20 years, so remember we said your basically is going to take 20 years for you to start making money. Well, year 21, that 17,000 is all is all cash. It's all interest essentially, because you've already got your principal back. If you survived 30 years, all right, you actually made money. You've made 17,000 times 10. You made $175,000 on a $350,000 investment, if that makes sense. And so that's the issue with annuities, is the mortality credits, which gets overlooked. But you'll be in your 90s. By the time you're freaking 92, you're like, hey, I'm still getting 17,500. Well, that's what you got 30 years previous. So with inflation, never mind taxes and stuff, that doesn't seem like a very. I can't. I'm not a big fan of those income annuities with that low of a payout rate right now. I don't like them. So anyway, dividend stocks would be the way to go. But I'm telling you, man, I'm of the belief we're going into another 2000, and I don't know how, I don't know what's going to happen, when, where, or how, but it's like we've already been down this road before. Value stocks were underwhelmed. People hated value stocks. You know what I'm saying? Growth stocks were all the cat's meow. The technology sector. Yes, Amazon did survive. Yes, Apple just barely by the sheet of its, by the whatever of his pants. The seat of his pants survived. In 1997, it did not. Apple was down like $7 a share. Maybe it was 98. I forgot. Where Steve Jobs went to freaking Bill Gates and said, give me some money, because they're dead to rights, man. You know what I'm saying? And so Apple survived. No one knew that back then. People thought Apple was dead to rights. No one knew Amazon was going to survive. What was the other ones out there? I remember so many of those stocks out there. Is Juniper Systems still around? I can't remember. Juniper. There's another one too. CG. I mean, I used to trade. I used to be in and out of this selling options like, oh man, CG something, I forgot what it was. But anyway, there's all these stocks that were running around there that people said, this is the way of the future. Cisco, I was talking to a guy today, used to work at Cisco. Cisco was the cat's meow. I don't think Cisco's come back to where it was in 2000, 20 years later. Yeah, it's crazy. So now it's the same freaking stories. We got the Kathy Woods and ARK and all these people like, well, genome projects or whatever the hell they're talking about. Those are I get it. Yeah, some are going to win. I don't know which ones are which though, and you don't either. And sadly, if you put a basket of stocks that the vast majority lose, which will happen, a couple won't save you, as we saw by the triple Qs, the QQQs. QQQs got smoked. I tell you. In fact, what is NASDAQ at? This was checking right. I could not believe this, man. Check this out. I was stunned. I did not know NASDAQ is at 14 freaking thousand. This isn't. That's a bubble. 14,000. It was at freaking 6,900 in March. It's at 14,000 now. It's crazy. That makes no sense. And then you look at the S&P 5. I'm sitting there. I remember with NASDAQ, it broke 5,000 on March 3rd, I think, 2000. March 9th, 2000. The first or second week of March, or maybe it was even the first trading week. I can't remember. But it was the first or second week of March of 2000, it went to close at 503 or 507, something like that. It took until a long, until 2014 or something to get back to 5,000. When was that? Hold on a second. I'll tell you. No, man, I can only go back. It took until right there, 2016 to get back to 5,000. And now we're 300% above that. On what earnings? It's crazy. No, I'm not touching that 10-foot pole. I mean, I was stunned when I said, because I remember 5,000 was a NASDAQ magic number and finally broke it again in 2016. Now we're at 14,000. But what? It's crazy. It's nuts. And I'm just sitting there. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever, man. Hold on a second. Amazon. I mean, and here's the issue. That's just weird to me. There's Amazon. Still got every time I look, the PE ratio of Amazon drops. It's nuts, which is good. But it's crazy because, it was 1,000 a couple years ago. Now it's 100 a couple months ago. Now it's at 78, which is still a nosebleeder, but just crazy to me. What's old Tesla doing? I haven't looked for a while. Yeah, so it looks like Tesla fell off a little bit. Now it's back on. That's a bubble. That is a bubble right there. There's crazy. Should you sell it? I have no idea, because you might have some serious tax ramifications of doing that. But I sit there, I'm like, this is nuts. Anyway, but then you look at that and you compare it to like let's go back to Portfolio Visualizer. Right here, Portfolio Visualizer, and we're going to compare again VTV versus VUG. Right. Oh man, hold on a second. It's how far back do these go? I don't think they go back that far. Hold on a second. I want to 2005. All right, so we got VVIAX. That's not what I want to do. All right, hold on just a second. Let's go back to the last 5 years. And for 5 years, she was so nice. Lord, she was lovey-dovey. She'd be lucky to get the front rent. I'll be lucky to get the back rent. Who's that, everybody? Who's that? All right, so we got right here. All right, good. So here's Portfolio Visualizer. We're going to look at the last 5 years. And blue is value. Red is growth. Interesting. So we're going to go to VVIAX, and you can see a pretty significant difference in returns here. So growth is double that of value. Value is still chucking along at a nice 8.44. Growth is chucking along at 16.84. So everyone, their mom hates. Oh, excuse me. This is a compounding annual growth rate. Excuse me. Here's value at 3.59. Excuse me. There's growth 4 times that. 12.09. Look at that. Nuts. Oh man, that's time weighted returns. Oh, but look at that. Oh my lands. Does that remind you of anything? So I got to remember what. Hold on a second. We found out the Vanguard growth. Vanguard. Oops. Keep fat finger in this. VANGUARD. Large cap growth. Oh man, down. Large cap, Vanguard, large cap growth. Growth index. Okay, VGIAX. Okay, no, VIGX. Okay, good. Let's go to VIGX and VIVIX. That's right, VIGX, VGIAX. No, we want IX. There we go. And VIVIX. VIVIX. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to 1995. All right, to 2000. And for 5 years, she was so nice. Lord, she was lovey-dovey. What you need? I want a bourbon. All right, let's see. We got. Let's see what one's which. I forgot which one I went. So Portfolio 1 is growth. Portfolio 1 is growth, which is right here. So basically, that's at the beginning of 2000. It's not as bad as I thought, actually. Maybe not in those 2 funds. Large cap growth. That's large cap growth, right? Yeah. I would have thought that was more, but that's not as bad as I would have thought. That's 19. Wait a second. This is only 1999. Wait, hold on a sec. And why doesn't it go back? Isn't the value index is 1998. Okay. Okay, there we go. Let's use this one instead. Okay, gotcha. Let's use. There we go. That's how far back that goes. Why does it only go back to 1999? Hold on just a second, folks. Don't get stinky on me. All right. Okay, they only go back. Okay, let's do this. Let's use Windsor. Well, okay, so let's do this. Windsor 2 fund. Yes, VWNFX, VWNFX. Yep, there we go. We're going to compare that to U.S. growth. Vanguard. I want one bourbon, one scotch, one beer. Well, I ain't seen my baby since the night on the week. Gonna get drunk, man. Gonna listen to me. Gonna get high, man. All right, VWSX. There we go. All right, cool. There we go. Let's see if that will fix our dilemmas here. So you don't have to hear me singing anymore. All right, so we got, there we go. All right. Yes, okay. So you can see here's, right there. So Windsor 2 is large cap growth, large cap value. Windsor, the U.S. growth is large cap growth. So value is the blue, Windsor 2. Red is the growth, Windsor, which is a U.S. growth fund. You can see it. Look at that, 329 versus 216. I'm telling you, man, it's like we're going through this. It's like it's identical. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. And yet even Windsor 2 is still clocking at 16%. But everyone and their mom hated that. They're like, I want more. Where the U.S. growth was clocking at 27. People are like, I want more. And I'm telling you, man, it's like we're going through the same thing all over. Does that just go to the end of 2000? And when does this go to? The end of 1999 or the beginning? Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, why did we get off that tangent? I don't remember. I just feel like we're going through the same thing, and as such, if you just go with a dividend, fund, you could be falling into that trap right there too, for sure. Kind of creepy. All right, let's see if anyone. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. She gives me a lot of referrals. Good. I need that sweet, sweet YouTube revenue before they ban me. One downside of having a young wife is that makes you want to wait on collecting Social Security. That's the one downside. That's all up if you ask me, man, because you should want to wait to collect Social Security. Almost 50,000 subscribers. You're shooting up like NASDAQ. I thought you were going to say you're shooting up like somebody else, if you know what I'm saying. But all right. What do I think about using a ROBS to fund a business? I don't even know what a ROBS is. So that's a Vanguard Growth ETF. It's absolutely tax friendly for sure because it's an ETF of Vanguard, 100%, and they don't have hardly any dividends either. If you own, that's a good point. That's a good point. If you own a Tesla, you now have Bitcoin in your portfolio, but you really don't. I mean, you only have it via Tesla. That's it. You don't actually. I mean, Tesla owns it. You don't, though. So. My Fidelity small cap's up over 54% since July. Too bad I didn't have more in it. Well, that's the lesson to be learned, man. That's the lesson we all learned for sure. Yeah, right on. Delaware Destroyers. George Thorogood, yep. Thoughts on solvency of Social Security over the next 5 years. Yeah, I'm 63 and getting nervous about the overall debt. Well, Wayne, I'm not trying to be flippant here, Deluche, but what are you going to do about it? I mean, literally, what you can be nervous all you want. It's not going to change anything. It's just not. I mean, what are you going to do? I'm going to let the nervousness keep you from just living a life because there's literally nothing you can do about it. Nothing. With that said, I'm not nervous in the least. I say this till I'm blue in the face. Dan Rostenkowski. Dan Rostenkowski. Everybody now. Dan Rostenkowski. Dan Rostenkowski. Just look up Dan Rostenkowski, all right, in 1989 in Chicago. Chairman of the House and Ways and Means Committee, House Ways and Means Committee, which is the strongest person in DC because he writes the checkbook. He controls the checkbook for the House of Representatives. Remember, all spending bills initiate where? The House of Representatives. So Dan Rostenkowski, the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, is the guy who's got the checkbook. And I don't even know who it is now. I'd frankly would rather not know. I think it was Charlie Rangel at one point. Ugh, just the best and the brightest are governing us. But anyway, the issue being Dan Rostenkowski was proposing some pretty light reforms to Social Security, and his constituents, which are very left wing in Chicago, basically chased him out of a town hall meeting. All right, you can see it on a video. Thus, the third rail, Social Security. You're not getting your benefits cut, man. I mean, it's just not happening. The debt, I mean, hell, we've been carrying debt. I mean, look, we've been making these same arguments. I'm back as far as the eye can see. I did a video the other day where a newspaper cartoon in 1938 showed the amount of debt per capita under FDR. And it's like, oh my goodness, I had this big ball on, the taxpayers' backs. And it's like, it's just gotten bigger and bigger. We're never paying off the debt. It's never going to happen. It's just never going to happen. It just won't. It's not going to happen. Now, relative to debt, well, I just look at Japan. All right. Japan's got friggin' almost 2.5 times the amount of debt to GDP we have. No inflation, none in Japan. But Josh, they don't have immigration. Okay. Josh, they're an older community. Well, we're pretty old too. Our net immigration isn't high. We don't have a huge, just look at the population increase in America for the last, since last election? I can't remember, last election or last year, I forgot. 6 million people or something like that. Nothing. It was a big fat nothing burger. You know what I'm saying? There isn't this huge growth of population. They're just not. And so when people say the demographics of Japan are dying, well, look, has anyone looked at America? The same thing. China's going to have 750 million people by the end of the century. That's if no wars and freaking Chinese viruses kick in. They're going to have 750 million people. There's a demographic shift across the world, man. And America is part of it. So Japan might be a little bit quicker. They don't allow immigration, all right? But at the end of the day, we're not that far removed. Japan's got 2.5 times the debt to GDP we have. And they don't have an economy anywhere near as strong as us, but they still have a strong economy in the overall scheme of things of the whole world. And yet there's no inflation to be seen. None. So I don't know. Everyone said I'm worried about the debt. The implication is they're worried about mass inflation coming down the pike, or they're going to monetize the debt to pay it off. Where's the evidence that has to happen? Look, man, I don't believe in modern monetary theory as far as I could kick it. I just don't. But we're living in it right now. We are literally living in modern monetary theory right now. It's just a cool kid version of Keynesian economics. That's it. It's silly, but the Republicans and the Democrats, Nixon on up, they all play the same game. And we've only had 4 years since 1967. 1963, 4 years of surpluses, or even a balanced budget, never mind a surplus. And that's in the late 90s. That's it. 4 years. That's it. And yet here we are today. So, at some point, you have to say the debt's not getting paid. I'm just not going to worry about it because it doesn't make sense. There's nothing to do about it anyway. Growth stocks, all hype, no profits. Amazon, Facebook, Amazon, Facebook. Well, we just looked at Amazon. They're certainly not killing it on profits. That's for sure. Relative to price to earnings ratios, they're not. So that's just not. It's not true. We'll see about Facebook. We'll see. Microsoft killing it on profits. Well, we'll see. It's interesting. Microsoft PE ratio, I think it's still in the 30s, that's not a huge concern. But let's see. Microsoft PE ratio is at 36. Yeah, in this day and age, that's not extraordinarily high given the 10-year bond being so low. Facebook, the PE ratio there is 26. So yeah, that's not bad. But Amazon 70, 75. What was the other one? The Netflix was in there too. That was pretty high. Netflix. Netflix, there it is. Netflix at 91. All right, that ain't cheap. Let's see. Goog, Alphabet, right there, 36. Now, that's not. I wouldn't call those three. Apple's pretty low for a while. Apple's still at 36. So I wouldn't call those nosebleeders, but they're not cheap stocks by any stretch of the imagination. And don't forget, I think they've had a nice little globalist cabal benefit that the local mom and pops haven't benefited from because of the freaking pandemic reaction. But either way, Netflix isn't cheap. Google, Apple, Facebook, and Microsoft they're not cheap. They're not, I wouldn't say those are horrifically expensive, but Tesla is, Amazon is, Netflix is. Seems like I'm missing one too. I forgot what the other ones are. There's some expensive stocks in there. And to say that they're not expensive is okay, that's fine. I mean, I've heard this all before. The idea that in 2000, all the companies had no profits just wasn't true, man. There were some profits there. It's just not true. All about EV stocks. EV, it just magically produces electricity. The happy man from Happy Land, just magically producing the electricity for electric vehicles. Speaking of which, I do want to share with you guys something because this is probably one of my favorite websites that's relatively new to the game here. Home of this is the American Experiment and the Minnesota's think tank. A lot of people wonder why I have so much stuff from Minnesota. Well, because I get it from here. I want to show you guys something here because Minnesota's a cluster. All there is to it. But I want to show you. Let's see more posters. One I want to. There's a couple in here. Of course, Amazon supports a $15 minimum wage. Shocking, huh? Wind turbines don't even last 20 years. I thought this was pretty interesting. There's two things on wind turbines I want to talk about. According to the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, wind turbines are supposed to have a useful lifetime of 20 years, but real-life evidence show that wind turbines don't even last that long before they are torn down and repowered so wind companies can soak up more of your tax dollars. This is why Xcel Energy is spending $750 million on repowering wind projects built between 2008 and 2015. All about the subsidies, baby. Thanks to a subsidy that's been temporary since 1992, wind turbines receive a federal tax credit of $24 for every megawatt hour generated. But wind is so cheap. Renewable energy is so cheap, Josh. The most recent extension of these temporary tax credits locks in wind development at 60% of the original subsidy, or $18 per megawatt hour, according to the US EIA. Wind turbines don't receive this tax subsidy for their entire lives, however. The subsidy expires after the first 10 years of a project's life. Unsurprisingly, a report from this place shows that the average age of repowered wind was 11 years. Meaning electric companies are spending millions of dollars to help themselves to more of your tax dollars and increase electricity prices at the same time. So you're only getting subsidies for about half the life of the wind turbine, which means the wind turbines are magically stopping after 10 years. Isn't that funny? And then they're going to retrofit them so they can get more of those subsidies. How shorter lifespans affect the levelized cost of energy. The cost of generating electricity is often expressed using a metric called levelized cost of energy, which attempts to figure out the cost of each energy source per unit of electricity generated. In simpler terms, it's like comparing the cost of driving different cars for each mile driven, taking things into account like front-up costs, gas mileage, and the cost of fuel. The more miles you drive, the lower cost per mile. If wind turbines were only operating for half their original useful lifetimes, it means they're generating fewer units of electricity, which makes the LCOE of wind much higher than advertised. We can see this in the example below, which I won't get to here. But anyway, I want to let's keep going because there's another one here too. That's like about my ability to be amazed by the ignorance of Americans anymore is nuts to me. It's just I want to show you something else there too. I'm actually hold on a second. That's good. Minnesota House bill seeks to make the mass mandate law, but at least they're trying to get it through a legislative process as opposed to governor mandates. All right, so I want to show you something here if I can find it. So to testify. Oh man, it's on more wind turbine stuff. Yeah, right here. As expected, energy demand surges. Wind doesn't show up to work. Wind's evil, man. The wind turbine is an evil, evil industry. All there is to it. I'm sure I'll get banned from this. The mercury never got above. Because some guy posted on my YouTube channel today that wind doesn't care about the temperature. Oh, it doesn't. Let's read this. The mercury never got above zero in Minnesota, causing a surge in energy demand. For most of us, this probably means our natural gas, propane, and electric furnaces were working diligently to keep us warm. While 66% of the Minnesotans heat their homes with natural gas, they still need electricity to power the blower fans on the furnace or circulate steam and hot water through radiators. Could not express that enough. You still need the electricity to get the blower fans to push the heat through. So that's why you got to get some kind of transfer switch or something like that in case the grid goes down. You still got the natural gas kicking in, but you need to blow the hot air through there, if that makes sense. This means having access to reliable electricity is more important on cold weather days like today than on the average day. The region's coal, natural gas, and nuclear fleet rose to the challenge, but the wind turbines many people uncritically believe can power our lives were nowhere to be found. Data from the grid operator's website shows wind account for just 3.2% of energy demand at the time of this writing. Coal accounted for 55%, natural gas 25%, and nuclear about 15%. Wind 3.26. But there's actually even more to this. Basically, they're talking about how the ice was freezing up. The whole thing's nuts. Wind is look. I don't have any problem with solar photovoltaic. I like solar photovoltaic. I think it's actually I'm keen on solar photo of PV, turning the sun's energy into electricity. I am absolutely, wind is evil. There's all there is to it. And people who think we're going to rely on wind, hold on a second. There's another one on wind. All right. If I might not be able to find it here. Okay. Yeah, I'm probably not going to find it, but they're talking about how the, is this it right here? I can't remember. There's one where they talk about the icing on the wind turbines. I guess it's not. What will solar do? Okay, right here. Yeah, here we go. This is it, I think. All right. During the polar vortex of 2019, we learned that wind turbines are shut down when the temperatures are below negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit because it's too cold to operate them safely. But remember, the guy posted on my YouTube channel, the wind turbines don't care about the temperature. Yes, they do. This means it'll be too cold for the wind turbines built by XL Energy, Minnesota Power, and other or Otter Tail Power, Minnesota and North Dakota, to generate any electricity. It's too cold to generate electricity. In fact, the wind turbines will actually consume electricity at these temperatures because the turbines use electric heaters in their gearboxes to keep the oil from freezing, which would cause damage to the turbine. During the 2019 polar vortex, it was reported that wind turbines were consuming 2 megawatts of electricity. This means turbines will be a liability on the grid when the power will be needed most. What will a solar do? Look at that. While we know that wind turbines will likely be out of commission for the deep freeze, solar is a wild card. Cold temperatures can actually improve, which is true, the performance of solar facilities because the inverters are able to function better. Solar does not like heat. Solar does not like heat. I'm telling you, solar is it gets above a certain threshold of heat. It's actually negative impact on solar photovoltaic. All right, but this will help the grid at night when the temperatures are coldest. There is also the possibility it'd be too cloudy for the panels to produce much power, and there could be snow on the solar panels like there was during the last polar vortex as well. The forecast is for cloudy conditions this weekend. We could see snow on Thursday. Snow would be problematic because, according to the founder of IPS Solar, it's too expensive to clear snow off solar panels. We may or not see significant generation from solar panels this weekend, but the fact is that we don't know for sure. But the fact we don't know is part of the problem. Energy demand will soar as temperatures plummet, and this should help everyday Minnesotans understand the importance of reliable coal, nuclear, and natural gas. Will XL's natural gas system keep up? Because remember, we're going to get rid of the pipeline. Oh my goodness, pipelines are bad. During the 2019 vortex, Xcel Energy cut natural gas service to 180 customers to prevent a wide system failure, and the company asked all 460,000 of their natural gas customers to lower their thermostats to 63 degrees to conserve gas supplies. Ironically, Xcel provided electric space heaters to keep these houses warm enough to prevent the pipes from freezing. And this electricity was generated how? By coal, which they want to shut down. You hear that? When it's freaking the polar vortex of 2019, the Xcel Energy cut natural gas service to 180 customers to prevent a wider system failure, and the company asked all 460,000 of its customers to reduce their thermostats to 63 degrees. But they did provide space heaters, which are run by electricity, powered by coal. They're freaking evil, man. These freaking scumbags. Xcel has upgraded its pipeline service system since 2019, but remember, pipelines are evil. So it's unlikely they'll need to ask customers to conserve again, but the 2019 event should make all Minnesotans wary of becoming overly reliant on one source of energy for home heating and electricity generation. I tell you, man, you got to get some freaking wood stoves. That's all there is to it. All it tells me how you got to have a wood supply because you can't rely on these fools, man. As Xcel foolishly shuts down their coal plants, they will need to build more natural gas plants to make sure the electricity doesn't go out when the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't shining. This means any malfunction or failure in the natural gas delivery system could result in the loss of home, heating, fuel, and electricity during extreme weathers like the polar vortex or what we're going through this weekend. What do we do in the future? The cold weather this weekend will be manageable because of Minnesota's fleet of reliable power plants. But what will we do if the stupid governor is able to implement his plan to force all electricity to be generated in Minnesota, but carbon-free by 2040? And we're not going to allow nuclear. That's what I'm saying, man. These guys it's like dealing with just unicorns and fairy tales with these people. It's nuts. And they can all kiss my butt because people's lives are literally at stake. Literally. I'm just telling you right now, as we go through this insanity, you got to have a wood-burning fireplace. That's all there is to it. But they're going through South Texas. I don't know how well a heat pump's going to do when it's freaking 1 degree out there. I don't know. My inclination is heat pump's probably going to be a hurting unit for sure. So how's it going to heat your house? Well, where we lived in Bernie, we did have a natural gas, so we were able to have that little, it's more for ambience, that would, the look. But it was still warm the house. Well, not the house, but at least you could turn on the natural gas, the thing that made it look like a cute little wood stove thing. It was pretty. That's not very efficient. But, man, if you're freezing your tush off and your freaking heat pump is hurting or not working well, that's better than freaking freezing to death. That's for damn sure. It's been negative 22 degrees. It's predicted to drop to negative 25. You're in Montana, I think, right, Prairie? Yeah, exactly. Yep, right on. Eric's, and he's in Wisconsin. He has a wood-burning fireplace. Let them eat. Yeah, these guys vote for this crap, man. They're crazy. Let them eat icicles. Wind turbines may decrease greenhouse gas emissions, but they are not without environmental damage. Yeah, well, if we're even worried about CO2, I'm not. Why is the whole thing about CO2? Who cares, man? CO2 is freaking. Why do you think they say sing to your plants? Do you think it's because they love the way I sing? No, because you're breathing CO2 on them. That's what you sing to your plants not because that's so soothing. No, it's because you're breathing the CO2. That's what the CO2 is a vitamin. It's a nutrient for plants. This inherently makes sense, which is why, by the way, the world is greener now than it was because of more CO2. This whole thing that CO2 is going to lead to some massive amount of global warming. The whole thing is just silly. I actually like solar. The reason I like solar isn't what for a lot of people like it for. I could care less about CO2. I like the idea of having independent source of electricity generation. I think that's actually pretty cool. I think we're going to have to go to more communities. The drawback, so if you think about it, with electricity, it's not that difficult, frankly, I don't want to say it's not easy, but, to get a battery bank with some photovoltaic panels, rooftop won't be very efficient for most people, but still, at the end of the day, if you're in a community, a rural community of some sorts, you know what I'm saying, you could easily get enough electricity to run a normal house. That wouldn't be that difficult, Frank. It just wouldn't. And you're going to need a pretty big battery bank for sure. And I think that's pretty cool. I do. Now, the drawback is obviously when you don't have sun and all that. I get on it. But at the end of the day, if you need some just old, good, some electricity, it can be done. I mean, it's being done now as we speak. But electricity isn't what the whole grid is. I mean, if you think about, or the whole energy demand is, transportation and just heating is giganosaur. So electricity is part of the energy demand. But I think solar actually can work. I do. So if you want to live, get, I hate to say off grid, but if you want to go out a little bit and you want to make sure you have electricity, you get some PV panels up there, you get some battery banks, things of that nature. You might get a big propane tank, something like that for heating and other things too. You got a range or, a stove. Right? I mean, you can do all this. Now, obviously, the propane tank plus the photovoltaic will work in conjunction with each other. I think that's a freaking great move. I really do. If you got some solar thermal, to heat your water so you can have hot showers and all that stuff, I think it's fantastic. I got no qualm with that at all. But the idea that's going to replace everything that we're using is just freaking stupid. It's dumb. It's as embarrassingly stupid as it is. Wind is bad. There's no other way around it. So wind is, who cares? But I like the idea of using solar photovoltaic for that kind of stuff. It does lead to some independence. I think it's neat. I do. And I think it's something to be looking at more for people who are trying to be more and more independent, because we have a takeover by wokeism in America. And you're going to have to figure out a way to avoid being taken down by the wokesters, because they're coming after you. No other way around that. And the Republican, as I said in a video today, the Republican Party has done nothing to arrest that. So as such, it's going to be you on your own for the most part with a community of like-minded people. And one way to do that is to find ways to remove yourself from the current insanity. And, when they eat themselves alive, which they certainly will. I mean, the Bolsheviks killed the Mensheviks, right? So, and then there's a third group there, the socialist, I forgot what it was, the moderate socialist or whatever it's called, but, they had the Bolsheviks killed the Mensheviks, but before that, they killed the Social Democrats, whatever it was, I forgot. But they always do. And when they do, when they eat themselves alive, then, hopefully you can be re-engaged at that point, because it's going to happen, man. I mean, it's happening as we see it right now. The New York Times what the hell is going on there? It's nuts, which is good. I'm very fond of them eating themselves to death. I think it's cool. But the issue is that your jobs and your livelihood are at stake now. It's just a fact. And to think you can be quiet, if you have no history of a communist, being quiet isn't enough. Which is why they had these huge standing ovations for Mao, for Stalin, for Lenin, because the first person who stopped clapping, that person is the one who went up against the wall and got a bullet in his head. You see what I'm saying? So that you cannot just say, I'm just going to be quiet and mind my own business and I'll be left alone. It doesn't work like that. Because the whole thing with anti-racism is no longer, being colorblind doesn't mean crap. Now you got to be anti-racist. And how you prove your anti-racist street cred is essentially by narking on people who aren't as anti-racist as you. That's what's happening. I mean, it's literally right out of the friggin' Bolshevik playbook, the Red Guard Maoist stuff. I mean, these people are freaking scary. No other way around that. And if you think, I'll just be quiet. No, it doesn't work like that. And if you look at what happened at NHS, the National Health Service in England, during the beginning of the friggin' pandemic, they actually narked on neighbors who did not show up to clap for the NHS at their appointed time. They literally did. Neighbors were telling on neighbors. They're saying, hey, Joni over there did not clap on her balcony for NHS at 5 p.m. What's up with her? That's some scary, scary stuff, man. That happened in England, UK, for not supporting NHS. And what what some of these people are saying is, well, if they don't support NHS, why should they get services? That's friggin' straight out of the friggin' Red Guard, dude. That's some scary, scary stuff. So as we're sitting here today, we have to say to ourselves, these people are on the march. Biden doesn't know what the hell's going on. Kamala's an idiot. So they're run by a cabal of globalist tyrants, man. Do you hear what Biden has now done? He's gotten rid of Trump's executive order to say, you need to account, if you're taking money from the Chinese communists for the Confucius institutes that are at these universities, you need to account for that. Biden says you no longer need to do. Yeah, that's not scary. So what's happening here is that we're being run by a cabal of global tyrants. No other way around that. And it's going to happen. It's probably happened more for, it's 2022. Everyone's like, well, take back the house. Maybe. You think it's going to stop anything? No, it's just not. So it's kind of like you better do what you can to protect yourself, because no one else is going to help you. I mean, certainly no one from DC. Maybe your local governments can. That's good. We got DeSantis in there. I don't even know about Greg Abbott anymore. What's her name up in South Dakota? She's okay. I like her better than I don't. But Greg Abbott I like better than I don't. But I like that Bill Paxton guy, the Attorney General of Texas. I love DeSantis. There's a couple guys that are fighting the fight and ladies who are fighting the fight, but vast majority of Republicans went right along with all this crap, man. And it is what it is. And so you have to say to yourself, maybe solar is in my future with a wood stove, with a good old fashioned, freaking hog of propane or something like that. And I'm not saying you got to live out in the country, but look what's going on. If they told you to turn your thermostat down to 63 degrees when the temperature is minus 20 outside, that's some evil stuff right there. When we have the resources to keep you nice and toasty, you think they told Joe Biden to turn his? I know it's the 2019, but you think they told Governor Walz to turn his stuff down? Cuomo? No. Joe Biden? No. Oh, hell, you think they told Paul Ryan in Minnesota? Minnesota, Wisconsin? No, they didn't tell any of these guys did. I guarantee flipping to you. John Kerry? No. So you're kind of on your own, and you better take precautions. This ain't no joke, man. We got freezing temperatures coming down the pike. It's scary stuff. And if you're relying on the supply chain because it's always worked, it worked before wokeism took over. Now it's a whole different environment, man. That doesn't mean you go jump off a bridge. It just means, this might be me being from an island in Maine. In Maine, you're prepared for winters. You always prepare for winter because it can get bad. And you got to make sure you have provisions for it to get bad. And so you're always looking pessimistic. What could go wrong? Are we prepared for that? And we used to put plastic sheets. We didn't have storm windows. So we put plastic on the windows to try to keep the drafts at bay. That's white trash, baby. And I'm proud of it. Oh, my God. I was telling my wife we're going to go back to doing that. She goes, no, we're not. Said we got to get our kids accustomed to what we went through. My wife's in Virginia, but she has 8 brothers and sisters. Her dad died young, so let's put it this way: she was not she shared a bedroom with 2 sisters and a cat, and so so money wasn't flowing in my wife's family, if that makes sense. Yeah, at the end of the day, Max, socialism doesn't really slow down that much. It just takes a detour to make sure the Republican Party gets theirs, if that makes sense. Yeah, John Kerry, man, what a freaking scumbag. That guy, I thought Al Gore was my worst. Al Gore's been off the scene for a while, but John Kerry, oh my goodness. Yeah, that's exactly. What is socialism? How does socialisms light their home after electricity? Candles, because they got rid of the electricity, man. Yeah, let them. So here, Prairie Mark and I, we agree on some things. Right on, man. Yeah. Hey, good job, Jill. Right on. You're talking about Nikki Haley, right? No. We no Nikki Haley here. I'll tell you that right now. No, sirree, Bob. Don't be fooled by Nikki Haley. No way. Actually, if you guys, the People's Pundit Daily, as this guy right here, Richard Barris, the People's Pundit Daily, he doesn't have a huge channel, but he was actually talking about this today. So there's a guy called the Conservative Treehouse. I think it's a guy on the conservativetreehouse.com. A guy named Sundance runs that, and Sundance has been against Nikki Haley since day one. It's nuts, actually. He's been against. He didn't even like Ted Cruz. Actually, he's always Trump. It's actually kind of interesting because I was a Ted Cruz guy. But long story short, Richard Barris and Sundance of the Conservative Treehouse seem to have a lot of the same opinions about the insiders who talk a good game, but when it gets down to it, they're and so it's just interesting to see this guy talking about Nikki Haley and don't get suckered into it. And actually, he was obliterating Lindsey Graham today too, and Tim Scott, by the way. It's pretty, and all three from South Carolina, and he's not even from South Carolina. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, I know. Oklahoma, right on, man. Oklahoma, the only state where every county went for Trump. Every county went for Trump, man. Isn't that crazy? Norwegian stoves. Huh, interesting. Not familiar with it. Norwegian stoves. All right, so let's go back here. Yeah, exactly. Let them freeze to death in the dark. Right on, Dave. Absolutely. That's a couple years ago. There's an article that I had read, and I did my own blog post on it before I even had this. Talk about the Yankees and the North, or the Texans were going to freeze the Yankees in the North by not. I forgot what it was. It was actually pretty interesting talk, and that was basically talking about how Cuomo was shutting down pipelines in there, and how the price of spot home heating oil was going through the roof during that was like a 2017 polar vortex, because they had no natural gas. And so as such, they were getting hydro from Quebec, Maine, because I'm from Maine. And so it's like, where is it coming from? And it was actually pretty interesting. And so the price of home heating oil, whatever natural gas was making its way into the state at northern New England, the price was just going through the roof. And he was saying, yep, the Texans say, hey, let the Yankees eat. What did he say? Let them freeze or something like that. It was actually kind of funny. All right, so Dobie says, can you use carry forward losses to deduct gains, even if there is 0% federal tax? All right, I don't understand. So the reason for deducting the gains, even if there's zero, okay. Well, that's an interesting question. I don't know how that works. That's a good question. Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. All right, so let's just say we're still in the 12% tax bracket, but our modified adjusted gross income is above the 68,000 because we sold some stock at a gain, but we have enough losses from previous years to offset those gains. Will those losses offset it from a modified adjusted gross income perspective, so I can still qualify? I don't know. That's a great question, brother. That's a great question. It's interesting. I was just reading an article, literally almost identical to this. Guy was kind of bashing a guy for writing off some cap. It's actually almost identical to this, but he wasn't using it in the context of ACA. So the guy was deducting. He took a capital loss he took a capital gain, and he had the losses to offset it, right? And then he's like, "Hey, look at me, I'm so smart." And the financial advisor who's writing this magazine, I guess, said, "Oh, that's stupid." And he's implying that was dumb because he's only a 12% tax bracket anyway, and as such, he was going to pay no capital gain on that $20,000 of capital gain. But now when you factor in the ACA thing, I don't know. Is the modified adjusted gross income, is the loss from the Schedule D, what's going on? All right, hold on a second. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this on the fly. Let's hold on just a second. Let's go into Right Capital. And if I can find, actually, make sure I got the right guy. Make sure. Hold on a second. Let me make sure I got Tim's sample up here. Yeah, okay. All right, so I got Tim's sample up here. All right, so what we want to do. All right, bear with me just a second. We're going to go to profile. We're going to go to investment. Let's just exclude this right here. Go to profile. We're going to make this a taxable account. Right, we're going to put a cost basis. Oops. Just did that. There we go. All right, total balance. of 500,000. What did it say? $500,000, and we'll say no cost basis just for time being. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, let's just get rid of all this. All right. Okay. Let me. All right. Good. Let's go. Okay. All right. Good. We're going to income. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at tax, and we're going to say, now he had. Did he have a details? So did he have any Schedule D? All right, so we didn't have, okay, so we want to make sure we have a sale. So what we got to do is we got to go to profile. Let's get rid of this income real quick. Get rid of this. Zero this out. Boink. We're going to zero this out for the time being. Boink. We're going to zero this out for the time being. Boink. All right. That looks good. All right. So now let's go to tax. Get details. All right. So what should show up here? All right. So his adjusted gross income is $7,000. So he should have had to sell some stock. Yeah, not as much as I was hoping. All right. Why do you only have to sell $2,000? Let's go to 2022. Total inflows. We want income. Okay, you gotta get rid of that. All right, so let's go to profile. Where's that annuity coming from? All right, where's that annuity coming from? Time expense. All right, that's good, but where's that? Where's that annuity income coming from, man? All right, savings. Income. Huh, why has he got goals? Retirement expense. So where's that? Where the hell's that annuity income coming from? It's got income flows 12,500. Annuity. What the? Investment account. Oh, why they got it as an annuity? I don't want it as an annuity. All right, hold on. Taxable account. Why is that showing up as an annuity? That doesn't make sense. Let's just put this up here. Hold on a second. Blank. That's an annuity. That's weird. Okay, let's click on save. Taxable account. Let's say annuity. What the hell? Insurance. Yeah, shouldn't be any annuities. Cash flows. Income inflows. Why is it saying annuities? What the hell? Where's that coming from? Investment account. Oh, I know. Oh, I gotta go back. Hold on just a second. I know what's going on. All right. Yeah, we gotta get rid of this income. I don't want that. Okay, gotcha. All right, sweet. I forgot I did that. All right, so let's see what we got here. So now we're gonna go back to the cash flows, and okay. So income flow is good. All right, so what's going on? We're going to 2023 right here. He's got $16,000 of net flows, which is going to be money he's selling from his portfolio. All right, so let's take a look at the 1040, and we're going to go to details. And in 2023, all right. So what's that? Yeah, it is. It's going to be part of it. Damn, that's crazy, man. Robles or whoever just asked that question. So watch. So why does it say 27,000 for AGI? Because remember, this is your AGI right there. Line 7, that's your AGI. That's your AGI right here. Why is it saying 27,000 when we only have 11,000 here for dividends? Well, we're going to go to, I'm assuming it's going to be on Schedule D, which is your capital gain. And sure enough, right there. Yeah. So we know if you don't have a capital loss carry forward, that does go to your modified adjusted gross income. So that is what that tells me right there. All right, that sucks. That sucks. I did not know that until just right now. All right, so that flows back to your 1040 as part of your AGI. Now, the question that comes to my mind is, what if we had a capital loss to offset that? So we go to profile. I think I can go to expenses. Yeah, right there. Capital loss carry forwards. All right, so we're going to do $50,000 of capital loss carry forwards. So let's see what happens here. All right, so my friend, you ready for the a lot of people dropped off from that because they didn't want to see the right capital stuff. So hopefully, Dobies, are you ready? We're going to find out once and for all. You ready? Ooh, moment of truth, brother. Moment of truth. I don't know the answer to your question. We will find out now. We're going to go to tax. We're going to go to details. We're going to go to 2023. Moment of truth. Look. Oh, look right there. So in modified, at least adjusted gross income, it didn't flow over. So we go to Schedule D. Check this out. Check this out. We got 15,000 long-term capital gain, but we have 45,000 of short-term of long-term capital loss carry forwards, which means when all is said and done, that 15,000 long-term capital gain did not find its way back to your 1040. Now that, my friends, is interesting. That is interesting. Look, so just check it out real quick. You see right here, adjusted gross income, 8259. If we get rid of the capital loss carry forwards, and everything's the same, adjusted gross income, 2703. That is interesting. What to make of that? Now, the question that comes to mind is, would that be still... hold on a sec. We're going to go to modified adjusted income. Let's see what... let's see what Maggie... Let's look at the IRS. Modified adjusted qualified number of credits. All right. Okay. As username. So what is there? Okay. Represent your taxable income. It's probably the most important figure of your tax return, but it may not accurately represent your total earnings. Certain sources of income are untaxable, such as foreign investment income. These untaxable income sources are added back to your AGI to calculate your Maggie. All right. Ooh. The IRS posts a deceptively simple Maggie calculator on its website, which helps taxpayers determine their Maggie. However, close inspection reveals a host of terms that sounds intuitive but are extremely complex. After a close look, you might wonder, what is passive income? Why am I adding deductions? Blah, blah, blah. Passive losses. Okay. Limited partnerships, passive losses. That's rental property. Passive losses cannot be deducted from active income, but that's a passive loss. Yeah. Deductions not applicable to Maggie. All right, so these are, Maggie is determined by taking AGI and adding back certain deductions. These are items which can be subtracted from AGI but must be included in the calculation of Maggie. Self-employment tax to passive income or loss. Is a long-term capital gain considered a passive loss, though? Capital loss carry forward considered a passive loss? Yeah, I don't know, because it says passive loss. Now, this isn't from the IRS website. This is irs.com. Passive losses could include any losses from rental property. We're not talking rental property. Oh, right there. I just saw healthcare right here. Okay. What's included? Okay. What's included in Maggie? All right. Your Maggie is your AGI, excluded foreign income, non-taxable Social Security benefits, tax-exempt interest. It does not include supplemental types of income to include in your estimate: taxable wages, tips, self-employment income, unemployment compensation, Social Security, retirement or pension income. Okay, yeah, alimony, capital gains. Yes, but you don't have capital gains. It says capital gains, but it doesn't say. I don't know, man. That's it says capital gains, but you don't have capital gains because you offset them. That is a great question, brother. I do not know. I'm going with. I think we saw that it doesn't. Smoke coming out of Josh's ears. I would use carry forward loss offset short term. Okay. All right. It's taxation theft. Yeah. I like the one over at FireCalc. Big fan. Big fan. Yeah. I don't know, man. That'd be a great video. Great. Look at that, dude. That's a freaking fantastic question. Oh man. Now I'm just like, dude, what the hell? I couldn't find anything specific, but if you find an answer, please do a video. Yeah. Yeah. Roth IRA is absolutely. Yeah. Man, only 15 likes? Come on, people. Smash it. Smash it. Thanks, Jeremy. You don't want Jeremy from Maine to come down and mess you up, do you? All right. Yeah, man, I don't know. That's a great question. I'm going with no, but I'm scared to go with no, and then have people say, "That guy Josh, I'm suing him." Of course, what are you gonna get? You get one of my kids or my dogs, but I'm going with no. But we'll have to find out more, man. We'll have to find out more. All right, my friends. All right, so my man says, is everybody entitled to retirement? How do I go about taking it early? Could not do donations, so I bought a cup of coffee. Thank you for all your wisdom. Well, it didn't work, that little donate button thing on PayPal? Huh. Freaking PayPal, they're probably banning me, those rat finks. Yeah, exactly. Tony Heller, the sad thing is, Ken, people are comfortable being lied to. This is where I've come now. In my conclusion of where we are is that people are very, very comfortable in just not caring. Just weird. It's weird. Sad, but it's weird. All right, my friends, I'm getting tired, man. My man says a 65-35 stock to bond. Should he make any adjustments? I don't know, brother. That's so many different things to consider in that. There's no way to know that answer for sure. There's way too many considerations about what's going on, but it's man, I can't believe we couldn't find the bottom of this. So we're gonna have to. This is my OCD. I'm not OCD like some people are, but I hate lingering stuff. I hate not knowing. So the question is, can you do? Harry says he's freezing down there. Well, thank goodness you got. Sorry, there's Harry and Miss Harry. Who got the better of that arrangement, guys? Harry must have some serious scratch for Miss Harry say, "Hi, Harry, I'll be your wife." I'm just joking, just goofing on you. But in Oklahoma, they don't allow for oil or natural gas. It's all green energy. All right, so we got to find the answer to this. So if anyone finds something, put in the. Obviously, we'll be shutting down here, but put in the comments later. That's a huge question. If you have capital loss carry forwards, will they offset capital gains to keep you in the threshold of ACA? The irony of this all, I'm not even sure if that's the. Yes, you did, Harry. If you look at my better half, my B and C, trust me, I got the much better of the deal. I promised her the world, and I delivered nothing. And she's still waiting for the world. 21 years of marriage, she's still waiting. All right, so what we're saying here, we're saying, I was reading an article in a financial rag today. The guy was, again, like I said, the guy said he took $20,000 of capital losses to offset $20,000 of gains, but he's only in the 12% tax bracket. And the financial advisor was like, you should never have done that, man. You didn't have to pay tax on it. Well, that's true, except for if there is a scenario like this where you can still get ACA. But yeah, me too, Sam. That's I would say it does because it says cap gains is included, but if you have cap loss, you don't really have a gain. That's my thinking too. That's the whole point. I have no cap gain. Why? Because I have a loss to offset the gain. I didn't see it, Ken. What was old Dave talking about? I literally don't watch any TV. It's the best thing. I mean, one of the best things that ever happened to me is getting out of sports. I love sports. I watched a little bit. I did watch the Super Bowl, but I love sports, football in particularly, and baseball before that. But baseball got boring, and and hockey. But it frees up so much time not watching sports. It's nuts how much time you actually have. So not watching sports has been a huge benefit for me. But then on top of it, I literally don't watch any TV. It's the best thing ever. But I didn't see. I mean, I watch YouTube. Let's put it that way. I shouldn't say that. That's someone said. I did a video a couple years ago. I posted on my other. I did want to talk about. Oh, yes, I do got another article I want to talk about. Yes. I'm glad you. Anyway, someone said on my YouTube channel that I said, a lot of retirees are watching 3 and 4 hours a day of TV. And someone said, does that include YouTube? I said, that's a good question. I don't know if that would be considered because YouTube is a form of visual entertainment. And I watch a lot of YouTube. That's a fact. All right. So I want to show you guys something here. We're going to go to Zero Hedge. And I know a lot of people don't like Zero Hedge. I like Zero Hedge. I'm a big fan, first time, long time. They don't like Zero Hedge because there's a lot of conspiracy and stuff. And I actually don't think that's the case. But let's see if I can't find this. It is on a consumer. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm looking for. Look at my man Pat Buchanan, the dark winner of a grand old party. Could not agree more. Shoot. Let me see if I can't. It's a consumer sentiment. Where's my? I'm looking for consumer sentiment here. Going back to the stimulus thing. Massive spike in electricity costs. Shocking. All right. A major U-turn, the Wuhan lab leak hypothesis is still, well, of course it is. All right. Hold on just a second. I'm going to find this article. Now I'm going up to everything. Where's this freaking search thing here? Can you search? Hey. Well, I guess we won't be able to find it because I want to find, oh, right here, consumer sentiment. Right here. All right. Oh, right here. All right. So check this out. All right. I thought this was very, very interesting going back to stimulus, whatnot. After disappointing in January, analysts expected a rebound in consumer sentiment in February data, but they were very disappointed as everything missed expectations. U.S. consumer sentiment unexpectedly declined to a 6-month low in early February as the outlook for personal income deteriorated, and more Americans anticipated faster inflation in the year ahead. All right, so think about that. The outlook for personal income deteriorated. You know what I'm saying? The gauge of expectations decreased. All right, to 6-month low. The entire drop in sentiment is concentrated in the expectation index and among households with incomes below $75,000. So if you're making below $75,000, your sentiment has dropped like a brick in water. Households with incomes in the bottom third reported significant setbacks in their current finances, with fewer of these households mentioning recent income gains than any time in the last 7 years. When asked to assess their current financial position, the deep divisions come apparent. If you're in the bottom third, only 23% of the people in the bottom third reported improved finances. All right. Why do I point that out? Who is getting the stimulus checks? Well, the people in the bottom third are going to get most of the stimulus money. That's the whole point about a stimulus. You don't stimulate to the higher income earners, which is why I'm not getting any. I didn't get one last time. I'm not getting any this time because the higher income earners won't consume it with spending with consumer goods. They're going to invest it essentially or put in the bank. However, there's evidence now because we saw this already. Other data, like 75% of the first stimulus went to paying off debt or into savings. 75%. So if you think about it, if you're in the bottom third and you have negative expectations of your income because the consumer sentiment is down because your financial situation is collapsing, they give you a stimulus. Are you going to use that to stimulate the economy by going to buy a new pair of tennis shoes? No, you're going to pay down debt or put in the bank. So here's this Clown Central guy. Households with incomes in the bottom third report significant setbacks. Presumably, a new round of stimulus payments will reduce these financial hardships. No, it won't. I mean, it would for a temporary reprieve, but it's not going to stimulate demand. It won't. And this is the issue with the Keynesians. We'll just stimulate demand by printing money. Stimulate demand, stimulate demand, stimulate demand. It doesn't work if people aren't secure in their financial situation. What do they do with that money? Is they use it to pay down debt or save. That's not stimulus. That's not stimulus. Yeah, helping people pay the debt with fake money. I get that. That's not stimulus. If you look back, your old buddy Josh, when Bush did this shenanigans in 2003, I can't remember, but whatever it was, we got $600. What do we get? $200 per kid or something? I can't remember. I just remember we got like $600 to $1,200. I needed that money, man. We had no money. We only think we had 2 kids back then. It was me, Shar, and the 2 girls, if memory serves. Yeah, I think so. I can't remember. But anyway, be it as it may, we need the money. I think we got $1,200. Pay down debt. What did I do? Put it to pay down debt. We didn't consume anything. It didn't create any freaking demand spending. Stupid. Conditions for houses and vehicles dropped notably in January and continue to fall in early February. Consumers expect a year-ahead inflation of 3.3%, the highest since July. All right, so what? There's a disconnect here. If you're not going to stimulate the economy with your stupid stimulus because people are going to freaking save it or pay down debt, Where is the inflation going to come from? The stagflation, maybe, but it's not having inflation by too many dollars chasing too few goods. Why? Because the too many dollars aren't chasing too few goods. Those too many dollars are going into the bank to pay down debt. We've already stimulated the economy with debt spending. Now it's the come to Jesus moment where you got to pay back that debt. So when the government gives you a stimulus check and you're in the bottom third, the people who would actually spend the money to stimulate something, they're not spending it. They're going to save it or put it in the bank, or put it in the bank, save it, or they're going to pay down debt. So the inflation, yes, it might be jumped up right here, which is interesting because of all the government printing. But if people aren't actually using it to spend, there's a disconnect here, without question. So Dave Ramsey can kiss my butt, man. That's all I got to say about that, Kim. The American people didn't ask to be shut from their jobs, Dave. So Dave, this friggin'. Yeah, actually, thanks, Steve. Steve's saying you look whooped. No, right on, man. Dave Ramsey kissed my butt. The stimulus should not occur because the people have a problem. The stimulus won't help people. Yeah, dude, I can't tell you how that infuriates me, Kim. We never once voted for lockdowns, for masks, for businesses to fall apart at the wayside. No one ever voted for this. No one ever voted for mass immigration, by the way, either. They never got legislatively voted for. It's what our own country is doing to us, our own, quote, leaders of both parties. Happens to be the Democrats are more evil than the Republicans, but the Republicans went along. No one freaking asked for this. No one says, hey, I need a stimulus. Some people, I get it. Some people are okay being on the dole. I get it. The vast majority of Americans want to work, provide for the kids. They don't want government handouts. They don't. Now, I know there's a disconnect. Some people say, Josh, you're wrong. I refuse to believe that the vast majority of Americans want to sit on their tushes and not work. But men get something out of work. I know that for a fact. I'm a man, and I like to work because it brings value to you. Most men want to work. That is just a fact. And women too, they have a different way of getting value, being more maternal. I get that. And women work. My wife works, and she gets value out of it. But at the end of the day, people want to be productive. They don't want to be. They don't want to be on the dole. So for Dave Ramsey to sit there and say, the only reason you need a stimulus because you haven't done a good job of managing your resources. Yeah, screw you, Dave. Freaking piece of clown. Oh, that pisses me off. No one asked to be shut down, have their businesses taken away, their companies to lay people off, their jobs shipped overseas, low freaking cheap labor coming in, essentially working for freaking indentured servant wages. No one asked for that. Not one time was that put to a legislative vote. Not one time. And you know what would happen if it was? California showed us what happened. Was it 179? Was that what it was? But well, you're in California, Kim. So was it? They had Prop 209 and 187. Prop 187 and 209 both passed in the 80s or 90s with heavy majorities of all races, by the way. And then the judges, those who know better, got rid of what is either. I think it's Prop 187. But that's California, right? Even that was voted on to California. And that's it. So now we're not even putting immigration. And then Arizona tried to police their own borders, and the Supreme Court said, you can't do that. You got to leave it to the federal authorities. And federal authorities under Obama said, we're not going to do anything other than put kids in cages. It's funny how there's no kids in cages anymore, even though Obama did it. Ah, man. Anyway, long story short is Dave Ramsey kissed my butt. Yeah, it sucks. If you need a stimulus, I hate for Dave Ramsey to have some freaking empathy for people who've been locked out of their jobs, laid off. Oh, sorry, girl. All right, we're done here. All right, well, I appreciate it. Yeah, but Kim, I get you, but the government is who put us here to begin with. You can't blame people who are going along with their work every day by day trying to make a living. Next thing you know, they got no job to go to because they're not essential. It's a taking. It's a taking. It's no difference if they say we're going to put a freaking a railroad track through your house. You know, there is something called eminent domain. We got to make you whole. They've taken people's livelihoods by no authority other than just some freaking clown governor says, we're going to do this. And if you disobey, we're going to go to jail. Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys. Much obliged. No, there's no freaking democracy. It's all, hey, thanks, Mill. It's not the government's job to put us in a bubble. Yeah, well, I don't know, man. All I know is the government's who put us here. That's for sure. And as such, you know, it's no different than the freaking, again, than the takings clause. You cannot take someone's house. Eminent domain says you got to make them whole. And they've used government dictate by order of a decree from a freaking clown governor to say, you can't run your business. It's freaking evil stuff, man. All right. We'll get out of here. See you guys. Appreciate y'all being here. Thanks now.